Good morning, good morning, good morning. This is your host, Coach Josh Smalls. Welcome to Coffee Time with Coach. It is going down. I have an amazing guest as always. I'm hoping everybody's having a good day today. Share with your friends, share with your people, share with your folks. And if you have guests interested in having on the show, please, by all means, send them a message. I will definitely get to talk to them and see if they're interested, and we can see what it is. Yesterday, I had some issues with the lighting back in my other room because the other where I was at the first time. It well, this is where I like to be at anyway. This is more comfortable vibe. However, I had to move upstairs and the lighting was all off. And then they clowned me because they said my lamp was crooked. And so yesterday was a big ball of fun. Thank y'all, Star. Thank you for jumping in. As you see, the lighting is still jumping, but it's not going dark here where I'm at. So that's fine as long as it's not going dark. I didn't like having the dark lighting yesterday. It really didn't work. Kamal is in the building. He's got a show coming up. I told him to send out to one of our friends and she would help him promote it some more. So Kamal, no doubt. Anytime, listen, we are here to help each other. That's what it's all about. The community doesn't work with just one person. Community works with a bunch of people collectively doing what we need to do in the community. And I think the more we remember those things, the better off life becomes for us. And I'm really excited about what is coming up next. So hopefully we are going to have us an amazing year coming up. I have a few announcements. Tamara, Star, Seward, what is good? Good morning to you. We are going to be, finally got the press release that went out. If you have not seen it, please send me a message. I'll let you know. But Halloween, which happens to be my birthday, we are going to be uptown on the Black Lives Matter Street. It's on North Tryon Street. I think it's the 200 block of North Tryon in Charlotte. But I call it the Black Lives Matter Street because that's what's painted in the street. And it's going to be a whole big illusion. What's good? It's going to be a whole big celebration. We're going to be doing some poetry between 2 and 4 p.m. I have some hosts, some guests who are coming in town. So I'm really hoping to announce that they're definitely coming. But I will have a host of poets there to share their love and perform and just give their energy to whoever's out there. I'm expecting to be a great event. My homeboy Neil from On Track Disco is going to be DJing. He's bringing his set out, and man, it's gonna be really dope. I'm really excited about it. I think the idea of having the ability and even the invitation to go out and celebrate, what we are finally putting in the face of others. I'm really excited about. Thank you, Kendra. I'm really excited about that opportunity and being able to tell people what we've been through lights that they may not have understood or listened to. Good morning, Beverly. Thank you for joining in. But again, the Black Lives Matter Street on Halloween, October 31st. I don't know if we're gonna have cake for my birthday, but at the same time, I mean, we will have some cake at some point. And then right after that, that Saturday, that Sunday, the very next day, we'll be back at the drive-in. The Black Lives Matter Street will still be going on. There'll still be some festivities going on down there. I'm not really sure all that's going to be going on Sunday, but I do know that that Sunday we will still be at the drive-in. So we'll have open mic there. And we'll be celebrating, of course, my birthday. So I'm hoping that my boy Stefan is coming. He said he's coming. I'm hoping that he's coming. And I'm hoping that he does show up because I really want to see my brother. And then definitely I could use, to use his expertise to be in the crowd on the mic hosting. That would be really great for me. So I'm hoping that he's here. And and he said he's coming, but we just got to make sure. Hopefully, it's going to be exactly the way we want it to be, and if not, we'll make it work. Y'all know I host, and I just don't. The thing I've learned about hosting after all these years, a host is not the performer. Your hosting is your performance part, and I don't want to get into hosting and then trying to do a bunch of poems because I definitely want to do poems and on that day. So. Yeah, it's gonna be. Good morning, Lakeisha. It's gonna be really exciting. We're talking about the Black Lives Matter Street event we're doing with the Charlotte Arts League. There's a host of other people on the bill, and I don't want to leave anyone out. So I'm going to go ahead and read so that you all can get an idea of how big this is actually going to be. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you all for joining in. I'm going to read that now. I'm going to read that real quick. Let's see. It is Charlotte Arts League, Building Bridges, a community art exhibit. It's the property management for Cushman and Wakeford. They reached out to the Charlotte Arts League about doing all the images, and after they decided to do the images and paint them on, I'm planning to try to record as much as I can. Um, Venus, I don't have someone who can actually do a recording, but we're hoping to have some video footage as much as we can. I'm sure I'm going to use some of that for some of my other work that I'm doing, but we're hoping to get someone to record it. Now, we don't have a budget for this, so we can't afford to pay um, somebody to actually do some video footage, but we're going to do the best we can and make it work. So, yeah, and if anybody has anybody who's interested in coming down and helping be a part of it, we are more than they are more than welcome. We were happy to reach out and talk to them. They can reach to me, and I can lead them along the way. Um, Lyrical thought. We got St. Louis in the building. What's good, Sent? The blessed one. Good morning to you. It's a lot of people on my IG live that I'm talking to now. So if you're in the live feed here, I'm not ignoring you. Just trying to represent to those folks as well. I'm waiting for our guest, and I guess he'll be here in a second. I really, there's a lot that I want to talk to him. Well, I want him to talk to you all about. He's been doing some amazing things. I've seen him around for a couple of years. I met him in, I want to say, 2017, and I've seen him. I met him. No, I met him in 2016, I believe, but 2017 is when I really got to talk to him and meet him, and met him at a few places at the Southern Fried Poetry Festival, which is amazing. Speaking of which, your guest tomorrow, I'm sure he's going to talk a bunch about that, and I'm really excited about that because a lot of people don't know what that is or have not had that experience yet, and it is an experience that you need to experience on your own. It's nothing like being there. You know, certain events you can um, be present and see it on video, but when you're there and you're personally there, it gives you a whole different feel. It's kind of like seeing your favorite performer live. I went to see Lionel Richie, and I say this often because Lionel Richie, I'm not sure, is probably 70 years old. And I went to see Lionel Richie perform, and he had to be in his late 60s. There's no way he couldn't be because I'm in my 40s. I'm sure Lionel Richie is 70 years old. And oh my goodness, he didn't miss a beat. Like he's a true definition of a performer. From the beginning, the showmanship, all of the work he has done, the catalog of music he has, the way he presents himself on the stage, the dancing, the smiling, getting the crowd involved. He made a joke. He said that he's going to do this next song, but he was going to need his best friend, one of the greatest entertainers he'd known and performed with on there. And everybody was waiting for him to bring Diana Ross out. And he was made fun like she was coming, but she wasn't there. But we was excited, you know, would have been really excited to see Diana Ross perform too. I haven't seen Diana Ross perform live. We did see her when she did um, the Central Park performance years ago, decades ago. I was a kid back then, and she did that Central Park performance, and it rained, and people were still out there. Diana Ross put on a heck of a show. There's a lot of different. That's one thing I love about YouTube. YouTube, you can find anybody doing a great performance. Teddy Pendergrass does a performance on YouTube. I think he's got on all white, and it's Brown Goddesses in the building. What's good? Emmanuel Cole in the building. What's popping? Teddy Pendergrass does this. He's all white on, I believe, and he does a great performance. I think this was one of the ladies only performances, and I've heard other performers have done that. I just haven't seen them, but I do know that the way Teddy put it down, man. Teddy's a beast live. He's a beast live. So yeah, so I'm hoping everybody morning is going good and going great. I'm kind of fishing around, looking for our guest, and I'm hoping that he's going to pop up any minute now. But I haven't seen him yet, and I think that they're on a different time, but that doesn't mean he won't be here. on time, but I think he's just on a different time. So we will see what's going to happen, and we'll go from there. If not, I'll just entertain y'all all day long. If not, y'all get a feature from the one and only Coach Ja. I got my coffee ready, so that kind of helps get me up, get me going. I got my backdrop. Well, not really my backdrop, but I got my background looking a little different. So there's some New York Giant haters that's on my IG live, and it's all good. I'm a true fan. As you can see, I'm a fan, whether my team is winning or losing. But it's all good. Listen, Emmanuel, listen, I gotta represent, bro. I'm trying to be like you. So Emmanuel is a Cowboys fan. And that's my brother, even though he's a Cowboys fan. But when he come on, he got his Cowboys in the background, he got his hat on, he got a cup going. I got all kinds of Giant stuff all around the crib. Plenty of Giant stuff in the crib, but I'm just, just playing it easy and cool. But I just want people to know what it is, where we stand. This is what it is. I will say that I am, even though I'm not a Cowboys fan, I will admit the Cowboys always have good players. They have good players, and I always show them some love. So definitely gonna show the Cowboys some love. Yes, and our guest is in the building, so we're gonna bring him on in a minute. But like I said, yes, Giant. Listen. Okay, Oluja, I'm glad you said nobody hates the Giants. Thank you for not saying that. I'm glad that y'all don't hate the Giants, because I love the Giants. I grew up with the Giants. Before the Giants, New Yorkers was Pittsburgh fans. That's just what it was, because that was the closest team. But, at the end of the day, it is what it is. And, yeah, I'm Giants all day. So without any further shenanigans from me, I'm going to bring up our guest. My homie is in the building. I'm going to bring him up, man. Y'all give him a big shout. And welcome my man, Mr. Lance Newman, in the building. What's up, King?
What's up, Joe, man?
How you doing, bro?
I was in the thing, and I didn't enter my name, so my bad, bro.
It's all love, fam. It's all good. I got you here, and that's all that matters, man. That's all that matters. How you doing today?
I'm awake.
Yeah. And we're an hour ahead of you, so it's 9 o'clock over there, right?
Yes. No, it's 10. It's 10.
It's 10? Okay. I don't know why I thought it was a time. I think driving there, we go through a time change and then come back.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So let's do it like this. You introduce yourself to the world. Tell these people who you are, what you do, where you're from. Because I'm never going to say Louisville, right? Right? I already know I'm never going to get it right, but I'm working on it. But let them know who you are, so and then we can get into this conversation.
Okay. I'm Lance Newman, the second, and I do stuff. No, I do a lot of things. Like I wear several different hats. And as the conversation goes, we'll get into those hats. But I would say my main hat would be arts education. So I teach poetry in schools, juvenile detention centers, community centers, so on and so forth. That's the bread and butter. Visual artist, philosopher, all types of stuff. We can't have just one bag in these days and times. But yeah, my company is Spread Love Enterprise. All right. It's also the philosophy, and that is how I lead my life.
Is there a website? Is that a website? Spread Love is a website they can go to purchase merchandise?
Spread Love Enterprise. A shorter website will be coming soon, but if you search Spread Love Enterprise, the website will pop up. But I'm an artist, right? We don't keep up with we don't keep up with that. So, you may see stuff from back in the G, but it's all good. If you need to contact me, you can do it there as well.
I met Lance I think we met in Greensboro, right?
Mm-hmm.
And 2016, my first Southern Fried. That's my first Southern Fried. Until then, I had not been there. And we met there. Southern Fried is such an amazing event. And we're going to talk about that, I'm sure. We're going to talk about that throughout the day. But we met there, and I didn't really get to see, I saw, which is ironic, but I saw more of you, obviously, when we came to Louisville in 2017, right? Mm-hmm. That year, man, I don't know if you know, but I got sick. And I miss so much, but I saw you busy. You were one of the most active people I've seen in my life during that time. Like every time I popped up was like you just popped up, walked through the wall, or something like that. So I want to definitely take my hat off to you, bro, because you were in the mode, and I appreciated the way the city receives you. That says a lot about someone's character, the way your city receives you, the way the people and the officials would represent and talk about you. That felt good for me.
Uh,
I'm excited to know that we're going back
come
next
on.
year. Which let's talk about that. Let's talk about. So tell me, you did the first year. Was that your first time hosting Southern Fry?
Yes, it was.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's talk about what you would like to see different this year. When
Um,
you
in
while you're doing,
person.
because there's a lot of changes you're gonna make, right?
Yeah, no, there's going to be changes. I mean, we are living in a whole different time and space, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't even say different. It might be the same, right? Time is just repeating itself until we correct certain
Mhm.
mistakes. But right now, we just so happen to be dropped in the middle of the Spanish flu, right? Actually, on the onset of it, right? Or, the Black Plague and all these other things. And it's like, how do we continue these audience driven or socially driven events, especially poetry, right? It's
Yeah.
such a oratory engagement, right? It is one of those things of the griots and the great speakers of old. There's something about people speaking and other people just listening and taking that in. So this year, or excuse me, next year, 2021, in June, we hope that folk have been wearing masks. We hope that there is a evening off and people are allowed to come back into the space.
Yeah.
But if
Yeah.
not possible, then we will be taking all the necessary changes, whether that be um, super duper sanitary or sanitizing, whether that be cutting the attendance, whether that be going completely virtual.
Yeah.
The goal is to just have Southern Fry because we need that communion.
Well, I almost fainted. Like I couldn't believe. So firstly, I had a really big situation that was supposed to happen that Friday, and we got shut down Wednesday. So good morning, Emma. So it really threw me off with a lot of things. Like work was shut down. Everything that I would do was shut down. And when we realized it wasn't opening back up, they canceled my poetry festival here. And then once they said Southern Fried wasn't happening, and I know like they were waiting to the last. It was like we're gonna keep hope alive, right? We was Jesse Jackson, keep hope alive, and it really crushed a lot of things. I want to ask you something because one thing that I always appreciate about you too was the verbiage, the wording, the words that you use when you converse, when you have a conversation with someone. So I always want to ask you, what are your favorite things to read, and what are your least favorite things to read?
Mm, mm.
It's a
Uh,
good question.
no, that's dope. That's so funny. I mean, favorite things to read is anything and everything having to do with Black and or the African experience among the world and the global um, diaspora. I have spent my entire life trying to figure out what it means to be Black. I
Yeah,
had to sit through the projections or the things that they project on us. I had to sift through things that are genuinely me and things that I adopted from other examples of Blackness. So those are my favorite things. The things to read are like tweets and Facebook statuses of folk that I don't agree with, or just it's not even don't agree with. We're all at our own level of awareness. We're all at our own stage of consciousness, and those lower consciousness folk. It's probably I get caught. They catch me being my interest, and I'm reading, and then after I get done, I'm like, why did I just waste my 5 seconds?
you know, I used to get caught up in a lot of that Facebook hoorah, and I think a lot of it was because I have poets as friends. I think that was. I think that was because we I'll just use me. I'll just say me. I forget that they should have an opinion that, and it doesn't have to be an opinion that I agree with, right? And
Right.
I'm like, no, that's just not how it works. And I used to get caught. Unfortunately, I had to block a lot of poets because we just can't get along, and I don't like it. But I will fall into that, man. I would read it, and then I'm not gonna say nothing. And then next, someone says something, and I'm on it, and I spend the whole day, and I don't put 25
Yep.
different responses, man. So I've been there. I'm petty,
Been with you.
I can't help it. Sometimes the petty just comes out like sweat.
Spread love, John. Spread love.
I've learned. So what I did was I learned that blocking people is refreshing.
Hmm.
I learned that it feels good for a slam poet to say to my team, "Tell your coach to stop being petty and unblock me." Like I can live with that for the rest of my life. Like that makes me feel good. I'm good. Now I prove my point that I'm needed out here.
Right, right. I mean, it's an interesting. So poets are people, right? I don't know why. Sometimes we forget that. Sometimes when somebody is at the forefront, we question very little about uh, what makes them up, right? We're just kind of focused on what attracted us to them in the first place. So
Yeah.
if they're a poet and they're speaking about all the L's in your childhood and they just speak to your soul, cool. But you have to take into account that a lot of us need therapy.
Hmm.
Honestly, we try to act like poetry is our therapy. The fact that we can name our demons gives us power, but until we actually exercise those demons and walk what we talk, then a poet or a slam poet isn't a true poet, right? There's slam poets. It's a game. They're there for the game.
Hmm.
They're good at the game. And there's poets, right? Just those natural athletes, those natural writers that um, walk what they talk. Like their poetry comes from a place of real life. Their poetry comes from a lived experience that they overcame, not a facade that they're trying to maintain.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of, I'm gonna ask you this. What is and I had to use the word perfect, but someone asked, so I'm gonna ask it the way they asked. What is a perfect poem to you? Right now, I mean, there's so many. That's a very loaded question. But what does a perfect poem sound like to you? That was what the question was.
Yeah, no, it's what different strokes for different folks, man. Poetry is the most subjective art, there is. So I don't really believe in a good or bad poem. I feel like if a person wrote down what was in their head and they used at least one poetic device, it's an amazing poem. If you got up and spoke that
Right,
poem,
right, 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 right.
even more claps. You know what I mean? Kind of makes you try to think about that perfect poem. So okay, so let me do that. I'm not going to be all generalized with it, right? In life, in general, a perfect poem is a poem written. In slam, a perfect poem is one that catches the ear, that speaks to human um, a human dilemma and not necessarily a specific dilemma to a demographic in humanity, right? Like there are human things that we all experience on the same level, right? We agree gravity exists. We agree um, drinking hot stuff will burn your tongue. It's like these. I think that when you have this overall appeal, or you're speaking to something that we all kind of experience within our humanity, that is a good poem. That's a
Okay.
perfect poem.
You're chopping up just a little bit. I'm hoping that it's not on the area, but it's just, that was a little choppy. Okay. Okay.
No worries. Watch this. Chop style. Chop style. Hold on. Let's see.
Okay. Yeah. So I got another question for you.
I have several different. Go ahead though. I mean, am I still choppy?
I think you're okay now. We'll see. We'll see. We'll work it through. We'll see what happens. Right now, you're good. I think
Okay.
you're good right now. Uh-oh. Maybe not.
Okay. I'm in the meantime, I'm going.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So someone asks, as a creative, what's your opinion on street poets and authors? I'm not sure what a street poet is, but I'm guessing they're saying a poet who is probably just, I'm guessing figure more of a performance poet versus author, or I don't know if they're talking about a rapper. I'm not really sure what they mean by that. So I don't know if that's a question you could answer.
They mean what they mean is a poet without a stamp of degree, right? A
Say one more
poet
time.
without the credential. Oh man, look, I'm downloading it right now. Hold on, we're gonna get it together.
Okay.
But I'm gonna try to shake through
Okay.
this. My decent.
Right now, it's a little choppy. Like I can see you, but it's
Um,
just a little choppy when it comes through the vocals.
I got uh I got you. I am opening up on something else that may work quick. But anyway, yeah, you said I'm still choppy.
I can hear you now.
Chop chop.
I can hear you now.
Damn.
Uh-oh. So y'all just hold tight. We're
Too
just
choppy
trying to
on
fix some
me.
little technical stuff, but hold tight. We're coming.
Yeah, I
It's
don't
all
like
good.
it. I don't like it.
It's the new world we live in right now, you know? But it's
And if y'all would
something to be
please,
grateful at the same time, because had we not been in a
oh,
situation, we wouldn't have this.
I swear, man. But if you can still get with me, or if you hear me good, look, watch
Okay.
this.
Okay. We'll do this. So we'll do this one.
See,
All right.
yeah, better.
Yeah. Oh, that's better. That's better.
Nice. Let's get it. So I know exactly what they mean when they say a street poet. They're talking about a poet that does not have the credentials of academia, right? There is a certain, uh, there's a certain prestige that comes with having those credentials, right? And those credentials make you a poet. So the question between the two, what was the question? What?
Let me go back to it. As a creative, what's your opinion on street poets and authors?
Yeah, that's the opinion. I mean, it's there's no difference, right? Like there are great street poets, just like there are great authors. There are bad street poets, just like there are bad authors. So it's not a here or there. It's really what your cup of tea is. Do you want those credentials? Do you need society to have stamped that person, or are you good and take that person for what they are?
Gotcha.
Is there a matter being black versus being human with the color of skin? Ooh, so what is this, man? You got people posting
Well,
questions live.
once they post a question here, I can post it there so that everybody can see it.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, is there meaning to being black versus being human, being with colored skin? What do you think
Well,
about that?
yeah, of course, if we're talking about the social construct that we kind of, exist in when it comes to racism and all the other stuff, right? Of course, there's a difference, but I believe that humans, right, as humans, we have this universal awareness of life and the outside world that kind of goes beyond color. It's not you know, uh, things are very specific. Things can be specific to you depending on your color, sex, demographic, gender, sexual orientation, all this other stuff, right? You can have those things that separate you, but what joins you overall is the humanity that we all experience.
Yeah. I think that's another one of those questions. Like we can answer that 50 different ways, but it will still come to the same thing. It's always more about what the individual is believing in themselves, and I think we get lost in that. I think we are so much. It's just like what I tell people about the essence of God or the Creator, how they see it. When you externalize your Creator, you separate yourself from the Creator. And every one of the religions that you might believe in, or even if you just believe in energy, is still within you.
Mm-hmm.
So if you externalize, you're already left with what it is, and you're left with who you are.
Exactly.
You know what I mean, so that's just my take on it. All right, so let's get off of poetry. Family. What does family mean to you?
Mm.
Rough question. It's a rough question,
No,
but
the saying goes, blood is thicker than water. Have you ever heard that full saying? Right, the blood of the covenant is stronger than the bonds of the water of the womb. Right, the blood of the covenant is stronger than the water of the womb, meaning that family uh, is chosen. Right, family is catered, family is customized, and it's up to us to determine what we want our family to look like. Me and my brother have been talking about our ability to write our children's stories and the responsibility that entails. Like we kind of think that life happens to us when in fact we can happen to life, and we can be the ones to orchestrate and create the life we want to live in. We go to Southern Fried each year because we have allowed ourselves to be a family and to come into a family and make other people family.
yeah,
Um, and it's in that covenant that we find like just the greatest bonds.
absolutely,
Mhm.
absolutely. One of the things I've always loved about Southern Fried was the idea of actually having that family reunion here.
Mm.
A lot of people will never get to go to family reunions. You know,
Mm.
they've never experienced family reunions, so it's a beautiful thing for me. I love every part of that part of it, right?
Yeah.
Until we start complaining about who lost and why everybody got 30s who can't make
Right.
it.
Right.
I feel like I'm in a Slam Masters meeting every time I say that. Uh, inspiration. Top five most inspirational people, dead or alive, known or not known. The top five people that inspire you.
Mm.
Yeah.
Why you pick five? Most people do like top three. Five is
Well,
like giving you so
I
much.
do five because people with a certain intellect are going to be able to give you 50.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather you try to grab five or six out of that 50 than to give you the only three. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
dope.
So, and it doesn't have to be five because it might only be three. But I would
I
rather
mean,
you.
off top, you always look to the great writers and orators of. So I'll do this. In the realm of finance, uh, and like, yeah, in the realm of finance. No, I can't do the realms. I don't know who inspires me. There's tons of people inspire me. There are people who I will literally um, meet off of a whim, and they inspire me. So there's a lot of people locally uh, in Louisville's art scene
Okay.
who really um, have breathed into me, and I've breathed into them. So like I could say famous people, but I'm gonna say folk that y'all don't know and y'all would have to look up. So Rihanna Nicole inspires me, DC Rice inspires me, Ashley Cathy inspires me, you know what I'm saying? Chip Calloway inspired me, you know what I'm saying? Sketch Basil, these intellectuals, these Louisville's going through a renaissance, truly. We're seeing more art and more production than we've ever seen in the past like 7 or 8 years. So right now, my inspiration really comes from the morale and the productivity of Louisville's art scene.
Love it. Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's another question I always like to ask. Oh, you got me on speaker. Can you turn your volume down a little? I think it's an echo coming. It might be a little echo. I think that's what they just texted me. and this is one of, I love this question. Circle of trust, right? In your
Mm.
circle of trust, regardless to what the situation is, who are your top 5 people in that circle of trust, regardless of what it is, whether it's amazing, whether it's horrible. I got to tell somebody, I have to share who's in that circle.
My yang, my girl. It's probably it. I'm a
Okay.
Pisces, right? So I'm very controlled on what people know about me
Yeah.
and what I'm going through. I'm not one to like if I tell a sad story on Facebook, like I literally I'm down bad. And like if I start like a fund on Facebook or something or trying to collect money and stuff like that, like it's either my birthday or I'm down bad. Like um
Gotcha.
I don't really, and I'm trying to think. It's like, circle of trust. There's plenty of people that I trust. I can name my family. I can name friends. Um, and I literally do trust them. But even they aren't privy to what really be going on in my mind. And like most, your spouse and your significant other is the most, um, is your biggest confidant. So I say that I could name my kids. I talk to them, but
Yeah.
3 of them are under 4, and one of them I can't confide in her too much. She gonna tell everybody in the world. You got a circle. You got a circle of 5 folk that.
I do.
Mm,
My mom definitely. The only thing I'm afraid of when it comes to telling my mom things is her being over emotional. If it's something that's,
mm,
other than that, I can trust my mother with anything. There's nothing I cannot tell her.
mm,
My brother Wits, of course, is definitely my go-to.
mm,
Um, and to be honest with you, I don't know. Snapshot, she gets a lot of my stuff because she has
mm.
to. My baby is in her womb, so she's got to have it.
Yeah, yeah.
And my 19-year-old daughter, to be honest with you, my 19-year-old daughter, I can give her things that she holds on to, and she makes more sense than a lot of adults. So that will be my response.
Love that speaks a lot to you. That speaks a lot to you, right? Then in your job as a parent and as a father, it's like when our children are wiser than us, then we are doing something right. You know.
Yeah, something right. When she, and I'll share this story real quick. I was going through a serious depression right after National Poetry Month last year, not well, 2018.
Mm,
And I mean, I was really bad off. I was suicidal basically,
mm,
and I came out of that. And right as I came out of it, my daughter went through a heavy depression,
mm,
and I felt like it blew my mind because I was almost not here to help
mm,
her. That could have meant that she might not be here had I not, because she told me something that really resonated with me. And this is what prompted me writing the book that I wrote for her.
mm,
She said, Dad, I want people to read this book. And she said, when they read this book, I want them to understand that teenagers are going through some things, and we just want our parents to listen. We don't want them to find an answer. We're not asking them to find an answer or solution. We just want them to listen. And she said, Dad, that's what you gave me. You just listen.
mm,
You did everything I needed you to do in that moment. You listened. And bro, it broke me because I knew then that, I was the only one here to give her what she needed. Nobody
mm.
else was giving her that. So even, she's a 19-year-old now, and she goes through her thing, I go through my thing, and sometimes she don't want to talk to dad, she mad at me, and it's all good. But at the end of the day, when she's my age, when I'm no longer here, and she can walk around with that book and tell her children and her grandchildren, listen,
Come on,
this is what he did for me.
come on.
You know what I mean? And that history. That's why I tell people when you write your books, I don't care if you think your book didn't do as well as you wanted it to do.
Mhm.
At the end of the day, you made history with that.
Right.
When you are no longer here, someone is going to pick up that book and is going to say, hey, this is what I need in this moment.
Exactly. That's the point. And that's the part. Like, that's the part that I feel like folk ain't getting. And a lot of poets don't be getting. It's like, your whole thing is to, try to give some type of wisdom for the future. That's leave some type of wisdom for the future. You'll find it. I tell everybody when I finally do get my poetry book, I'm gonna take 5 of them and just bury them in the ground in random places. Just bury them, right? And that way, one day, maybe not, they'll get dug up, and somebody will be like, "Oh my God, this is a whole," you know what I mean? Because that's how our historians are made, y'all. Like, people don't even get that. Like, they call people historians because they kept journals and they kept diaries, and now we have those journals and diaries, so we can have a first person experience of what they were going through. It's like, that is our purpose, in life.
You know, with you saying that, I think there's going to be some people who are going to hear this and they are going to do the same thing.
Good. They should.
And that's the beautiful thing in what we do. And I try to tell people all the time, we're not always a me. It's not always me. Sometimes I'm writing a poem about me so that you get it. I want you to get it. When I wrote this poem called 21, and it's about being black, being a black man here, and how once you reach 21, you felt like you made it, right? You don't even think about 22. Shit, I'm 21, like everything's set. And in that poem, I talk about how my cousins used to walk past our crib and ignore us. They wouldn't knock on the door, wouldn't ring the bell, walk right past our building. I talked about how my German Shepherd was more of a family member than family members were. And I talk about all these things, and I try to tell people because somebody understands that. You might not have lived like that, but I did. Like it was, listen, my mom gave natural birth to 8 children. I'm the oldest. I lived with 7 siblings at one point in time under the same roof. Okay, people don't know that. Some people do. Some people don't know that. So that struggle, I want people to understand, hey, I'm here with you. Somebody had 12. My grandma had 12 children. Imagine 12 children back then. You know what I mean? South Carolina, Georgetown, South Carolina. So, we write these things it's for us to release, but it's for somebody else to get it. We want to reach somebody else, which is what I enjoy most about that. Let me ask you a question. Your top 3 moments performing. I don't care if it was 3 people, if it was 16,000 people. Your top 3, and it doesn't matter if it was in a slam or you just open mic or just at a presentation. Let me your top 3 moments that you was like, that is why I write.
Yeah, man. It's so funny. The first one I'm gonna say is UK or University of Kentucky's Apollo night in 2007, and I got booed. I got booed tough, but the Sandman in rehearsal, he heard my poem and he said, "Bruh, I'm gonna tell you right now, they not gonna feel you. They gonna boo you, bro. But I ain't gonna come. I'm not even gonna come get you, bro. I'm gonna let you finish. You need to say that." So I went. Sure enough, the whole crowd was booing like crazy. But he never came and got me. I finished my poem and gave the middle finger to the crowd and walked off. Right. And that was that. Even that wasn't like a glorious moment. It was one of those moments that are needed in a performer's career to, like, bro, you're not always gonna be accepted, and what you saying ain't always gonna be liked. So don't trip. If you saying what's real, they're gonna let you finish. You know what I'm saying? So that one, I would say I wrote a poetry opera, or co-wrote a poetry opera here locally, and I wrote 3 of them, but the last one in particular was just near and dear to my heart. It was after we went to Africa, and you guys can find that. It's called The Blood Always Returns. The Blood Always Returns, and you can YouTube that. That whole play is up, and that was just, I don't know, it was beautiful. And then I'll say the third is nigga, 13 years old. I'm like at an open mic in Louisville. It's the only open mic. It's the only one that like I could get into at my age. And I do a poem. Ooh, no, I'm gonna replace that with number 2, because that the first time open mic when I was a kid. But then the very last one I'm gonna say, I performed a poem in front of my mom when I was like 12, and she cried, and I was like, okay, so this is what I need to do. All right. Like, and that is literally the performance that launched my career.
Wow. The irony. I performed in front of my mom's, many times. But Kwanzaa, not last year, I think it was the year before last. Or was it last year? It might have been last year, Kwanzaa. They asked me would I come to the Kwanzaa celebration here in Charlotte, and I went, and it was nearly 400 people in this crowd, and I want to say 75-80% was women. All 8. My mom's with me. My lady's with me at the time. I told my mom I'm reading her poem that I wrote for her. And the end of the poem is called "Let Me Tell You What God Looks Like." It's my first book with my mother's picture up front, right? So, I mean, we honor my moms, anything we do. I read this poem, and the last line says, "So sister, tell me, what does God look like when you see her in the mirror?" I had all the women stand. Bro, it broke me. I mean, like, I've all the performances I've ever done, right? Being at the Apollo, being on in Palladium in New York City, being at, being at the Red Parrot, being at Trafalgar, all these big venues that I've been, that I performed in front of people. When I did that poem that day, and my mom was there to feel that energy, right? And know that I wrote that poem for her, but that poem is written for Black women, even though it talks about all women, right?
Right.
Talks about the origin. When my mom's energy filled that space, it ain't nothing like that. Then that's why you do what you do, right? Then, bruh. So I get it.
It's Black women, man. They magical, man. Like, what more motivation do you need? You know what I'm saying? But to have a Black woman pat you on the back and be like, "Hey, you on the right path." I swear to God, it's life changing.
Listen, they can talk about all they want about motivation. If you got a strong Black woman on your back side, and she's like, "You know what? I believe you." You would turn them tears into sacrifice.
Come on.
Instant.
Quickness.
Man, and I'm learning. So I've been blessed to have that dynamic really this year more complete than ever. And I needed it when it happened. You know what I mean? When this COVID came in, it kind of, and I needed it, and I've been blessed to have that now. And yeah, it's a beautiful thing. We got 10 minutes, so I'm going to do this because this is what I like to do with my guests. I want you to take this time to talk about anything you have going on, anything in your career you want to share. Just tell us about you. Let them know, anything that you want them to know, any takeaways, anything like that. Because I've been asking all these questions, and we usually get interviews, and people don't allow us to say what we want to say. So here is your time to say whatever it is you want to say, and yeah, let them know what's good.
It's interesting, man. That's a cool thought, to give people that space to like speak about what's on their heart. We never give people the space to, really respond, because we're always talking to, or we're listening to talk again, right? So it's like people say, how are you? And I always respond with, I'm awake, right? Because that is literally, to me, that feels like the most open or honest way to respond to that question. Because like, I'm aware and I'm alive. Like, these two things I am blessed for. We waking up each day is it's the most slept on blessing. You know what I mean? Like people we walk around angry when they could have just not been walking around, or they could have just been dead. You know what I'm saying? Like, just be happy. I'm happy that I'm alive. And then being aware. On my mind, so I'll be playing Mercutio in Actors Theater's Romeo and Juliet. So our major theater company here in Louisville, they'll be coming out with Romeo and Juliet, and I'm getting my acting on. So that's like my career is transition. I don't do poetry no more. I have been delivered. No, but I have been I'm taking a break. Like I've chilled on the poetry thing. I feel like I've hit my head on that ceiling. I have no aspirations to be the number one slam poet and have all these accolades on button and poetry all deaf and da 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 da. Like, that starstruckedness had left me in my 20s. So in my later age, I'm thinking of stability and and forward thinking. It's like the legacy we leave. And okay, I'm gonna get into the philosophy real quick. I believe that our heavens and hells are created in the memories of the people that we encounter and come in contact with and share energy with. So if somebody has nothing but bad memories about you, if everybody you came in contact with has nothing but bad experiences with you, when you die, you will live in a hell of their memories, right? And vice versa. If you leave people with happiness, love, or just honesty and truth, then those are the heavens that you'll live in once you die. Because that is how we continue to exist. Our bodies and our souls, I believe, are repurposed in some way, shape, or form. But that memory is what lasts forever. The memory is why we still talk about these things, right? As soon as we bring up Mansa Musa, we now invoke his reality and his life and spirit into our lexicon. And if he's remembered in a positive way, then he's in the afterlife chilling. He's good. He's living in that thought. So I always try to really leave people with a good taste in their mouth. There are people who may have had bad taste in their mouth from experiences with me, but in most times than not, it's personal. It's people's own hangups and those memories that are false, right? Those emotions that they have that are false will create a false memory. So you don't have to worry about that hell. That hell doesn't exist. That hell was created by them, and they will have to live in that hell. Um, I have 4 children. I have a 9-year-old, 3 about to be 4, 2 about to be 3, and just turned 1. I am burdened with responsibility. And again, we talk about writing those stories. I am forever in a space of trying to figure out how to properly leave them with something that is substantial and something that is worthwhile. And also trying to balance the raising. Like, you cannot spoil a child, because if you spoil a child, they become entitled, and then they're an entitled adult. But you also don't want to starve your child. But it's like, what is that balance of realness, right? What is that balance of what is that you leave? So that's always on my mind. I am a visual artist as well, so I have like visual pieces that I do, and you guys can check that out on Google. I swear to God, you Google Lance Newman, you are going to, the whole first 2 pages are nothing but stuff I've done, so you can find what I've done. But visual arts or another space where I just think expression is very important and we need to get back to. But yeah, John, man, I appreciate the platform. I appreciate that space to kind of go through. Again, I'm a Pisces, so I'm kind of catering what what I'm giving y'all.
Understood.
But it's always love.
Oh, no doubt. For me, bro, I've specifically picked a series of men who I have met and have been made some sort of impact in the time that I've met them and experienced some energies that I would like to introduce to folks who they might not have come across. I listen to dialect, I listen to conversation, I listen to conversation about folks to make sure I know what I want to hear from them. I don't script any. Only questions I always have is family, life, top five inspiration, and in the circle.
Nice.
Other than that, none of the questions are scripted because I don't believe energy works that way. I think energy takes its course when it happens. And I can have, it's just like going to a slam, right? In your mind, I'm doing this first, I'm doing this one, then I'm doing that one. Then energy says you're not doing any of those. So a lot of people have asked me, how do you pick your guests? I pick my guests based off energy that I've had with them,
Nice.
sharing space, and then my questions come with the energy that happens when you get here. So it's a high level of respect that I have for the people that I bring on. So I want you to know that number one, it's an honor, bro. I'm glad he was able to make it. When I said that, I was like, man, please hope he ain't too busy.
No, you're a blessing, bro. I appreciate it. I was like, shit, hell yeah. I'll never get invited to these things. So, thank you.
Again, I'm not looking for a superstar champion, whatever it might be in what the masses think. Your superstardom comes from our vibes, what I've seen, what I've watched. You know what I mean? For you to be able to manage to put together, I loved being in Louisville. I can't wait to come back. And for you to manage it the way it was managed, look, I mean, I was all in. I hate that I got sick. I hate that I got a cold. I'm going to be jacked up off of vitamin C and zinc and everything when I come this year because I'm not getting sick. But
you better.
It's a level of respect I had. That's why I had you on, and I can't wait to talk to my IG live people about it. And I'm going to post this. I'm going to share the link so you have it to share. And man, I appreciate you more than you know, brother. I appreciate you more than you know.
That is much love, John. I love you, bro. Thank you, bro.
Love you too. So I think IG is getting ready to sign off too. So I'm gonna say goodbye to them, and I'm gonna come right back. IG Live, thank y'all so much for tuning in. Yes, this was a treat. Lance is amazing. I'm gonna give y'all all this info when I come back on, so we can talk about what happened here. And once I come back on, we're going live. We'll talk about that, and I answer all of y'all questions and all of that. So y'all just hold tight. I know what it is. As far as Lance, man, spread love, bro. That actually, that logo is super dope. Like that is dope, bro. When I first saw it, I told Wiz, I was like, son, look what my man's is doing. As a matter of fact, coming to Louisville, right, was my first time being slam coach by myself without BlackBerry.
Wow.
That was my first experience. And then to top it off, I had LJ on yesterday. LJ actually was the host of our bout. And when I tell you, it was so many rookies in that bout, and that was one of the best bouts I've experienced overall, the whole bout.
Nice.
Even though we had a time penalty that knocked us out, it was still one of the, and I think it was because experiencing that with those rookies for the first time.
Yeah.
That is a whole nother thing. My next best Southern Fried experience was when Witz did the George Stinney poem at Fayetteville, and he got 30s across the board.
Yeah.
And when he came off the stage, he was so overwhelmed. I just grabbed, me and my brother be hugging all the time. I just grabbed him. I said, "Nah, we good, bro." I said, "Let it out. You good, you good, you good." And when it rang off, 30, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. When it rang off like that, that energy, the room was kind of doing like this. It was the first time he had his at Southern Fried. It was the first time he had a perfect score, and we were going up against Slamageddon, Burn Beautiful, And who else was in there? Man, I mean, everybody was in
Oh
there.
my goodness.
I mean, so the bout was full.
Yeah.
Right. And oh man, but it was beautiful, bro. It was beautiful. So oh, we got to get out of here. We got 3 seconds, y'all. Hold on, Lance. Stay tuned.
1,
I'll check y'all
2,
next week.
3. I'll let you.